Hi, today I would like to introduce you to NodeRed. NodeRed is a very productive way to quickly build new applications. You don't have to be an experienced programmer using traditional programming languages, although if you are experienced, you can extend the capabilities even further with NodeRed. NodeRed today is running on IBM's Bluemix platform, which is a cloud-based platform as a service. It provides a wide variety of ways to run your application, connect to networks, apply security, and all that IT stuff. More interestingly to you as an application developer, it provides a rich set of services which you can access through APIs or application programming interfaces. You can treat these as building blocks of some significant, complicated capabilities so that you can focus again on the creativity of your own application rather than building all of that capability from scratch. From this main screen that you get in launching NodeRed from Bluemix, we'll go into the flow editor, which is where you do the real work of using NodeRed. And when we click on that, it pulls up this workspace. And once it loads, you'll see that there are several, here we go, several tabs. In each one, I've created a separate set of flows, NodeRed flows, which are essentially my applications. And I've just done some playing around with different capabilities, and I'm going through this quickly to give you a visual idea of some of the complexity that you can start building into this in the variety of nodes. We'll open up a fresh workspace, which will give us a blank place to create our new flow. And you can go in there and name that by double-clicking on that tab. You can create your own label. So let's call it NodeRed Demonstration. Save that away. And now we can start creating our simple flow to understand how to use this tooling. On the left-hand side is a palette of several different nodes to start with. I'll give you a real quick view of the numbers of them that are available. There's a section for inputs, outputs, which is typical of any application, and we'll use some of that today. Functions are a grouping of various things that you can use to actually do the real work of your application, usually by transforming data and executing your business logic. A quick example is you can reach out and interface to Facebook Messenger, so you can invoke services from outside of the Bluemix environment, and that's a very powerful capability. And I want to scroll down lastly to one more example. There's a section called IBM Watson. These are IBM cognitive computing services, natural language processing, translation, that kind of thing. And we'll try to take a quick peek at some of that before we're done here. So let's lay out a simple flow to see how you work with NodeRed. First of all, you go to the palette and you just click and drag and drop the nodes that you want. We're going to grab an input, one called inject. That's one in which you will generate data for your application in this node itself. You'll notice that once I put it on the palette, it opens up an information tab on the right-hand side, kind of a help document to give you the basics of how to use that particular node. But usually most of them are fairly easy to manipulate. When you double-click on this one, it opens up this panel in which you can operate with parameters to customize it. In this case, let's change it from a timestamp data to a text string, and then you can just type in whatever data you want in this field. Let's call it Don's test data. And you can do some a little more complicated things by repeating the test data on some frequency and that kind of thing. We'll just do it manually today, and we'll just call it input data to document the tab. That changes, we'll change the name of my node on my palette. You might use any of these nodes more than once within your flow. So by customizing that label, you can make it more meaningful to yourself, so you can recall what you're trying to do as you flow through your application. Next, we'll create an output node so that we can generate output for the user of the application somewhere. I'm going to use what's a somewhat special node in this case called Debug. There's another tab on this right. As you can see, it opens the information document again for this node. But there's another tab called Debug over here. And the Debug node will write its output every time it's executed into this local workspace. There are other outputs that you might write to a website or to a Twitter feed, that kind of thing. When you actually execute your application, the debug is usually used so that you can keep an eye on your data that you're generating throughout your flow as you're developing the application. And to make that more usable, there's actually an on and off toggle to the right here. It's not working yet because I haven't saved it. And so I can turn those on while I'm continuing to refine my application and turn them all off once I think I'm finished, and prevent that noise once I'm running it in a production manner. And then lastly, let's grab a function. We'll do a trivial amount of work today. Let's grab the delay node. And it's kind of what it sounds like. It just, it's gonna, let's open the info tab so you can peek at that real quick. But it's gonna take input data and it's gonna hold it for some specified time before passing it along further down into your flow. In this case, it's set for 5 seconds. You can set it to hours and days and that kind of thing. We'll keep it short. In fact, we'll make it a couple seconds shorter and label it like we did before, and save that away, and that's ready to do its work. And now the last thing we need to do is we need to connect these all together so they'll actually do useful work. And that's a real simple process too. You simply click and drag off this little circle at the end of the node and drag it to the node you want to connect it to. And then I likewise do that for the second and third nodes. And that creates a flow in this direction, which will execute my application. The blue dots means I've got new work that I haven't saved away yet. So to save all my changes, I just click on deploy. And now it's all saved and it's ready to use. So I'll click on the input data. And it'll generate some data. Pause shortly and then write it out. And if I click over on the debug tab, you'll see it wrote Don's test data, which is what we had created, and a little bit of information like timestamp and length of the message, etc., which can be used as diagnostic information as you're creating a more complex application. So that's a real simple flow that I've created and stored. Let's go real quick. I want to show you a more complicated one. This is where I'm going to take microphone speech, translate it to text, then translate it from English to German and write it out to debug. It also plays it audibly, but you won't hear it because of the recording tool that I'm using, even though I've got it working. So I'll click over here to open up the mic and click it back off and create a short message here. Hi, this is my test message. And I'll stop it, and in a second it should start to flow through there. There it goes. And you'll see that it was playing in my ear. I don't think you heard that because of my tooling, but here you can see in German text it wrote out to the debug, as I said. So you can create some pretty interesting things, as you can see, as you leverage the more powerful nodes. So that was a brief introduction to working with NodeRed, and perhaps I'll create some more advanced videos to explore the deeper capabilities. Thank you.